Hey traders, David Frost, My Strategic Forecast. You're here for another episode of Common Sense Market Analysis. Today is Tuesday, January 28, 2025. We're looking at a daily chart of the SPY or Spider, which is the proxy for the S&P 500. What do we have on the docket today? Well, we had what's called a follow-through day to yesterday's positive close. Yesterday was a big gap down, but they did finish positive, finishing near the highs of day. This morning, we had some ramp-up operation, and we finished not at, but near the high of day. This is called a follow-through day. The main question of the day is anybody able to make money in today's market? And the simple answer is yes, they were, and I'm going to show you that in a moment. They are above all the moving averages. The trend is your friend until further notice. She's a stone's throw away now from the gap down that essentially happened Sunday night into Monday. And when you look at the weekly chart, just like we discussed last night, there's nothing wrong with the weekly chart. They're fiddling around with the former highs, staying above all the moving averages, namely the 20-period moving average. The trend is your friend until it's over. 4-hour chart above all the moving averages, 3-hour chart above all the moving averages, 2-hour chart fiddling with the 20-period moving average above all others. The hourly chart above all the moving averages. The trend is your friend until it's not. Net up about $5 today, a little more than that in the SPY, 0.86%. We'll get to the Qs later, but tech had a bounce back situation. Speaking of tech, let's take a little detour real quick. We're talking lazy swing trader, automagical algo system. We're talking NVIDIA. We're talking buying it, meaning the system, the automagical algo system, bought it at 118.85. Took first profit about $1.25 today, 125. That's a base hit, putting it into a risk-free, emotionless trade. NVIDIA. Where did the system buy it? Where nobody wanted it. Lazy swing trader, automagical algo system. What about inside the numbers? Did anybody make money inside the numbers today? Post a comment under the video. Help a brother out. And the brother or other traders out there, could be a sister too. But help other people out. Is this a place that you can benefit from? Is this a place where you can make money using the numbers and the information that's provided each and every day? It was Turnaround Tuesday. Wake up to the makings of a DCB operation or dead cat bounce sponsored by the overnight crew. Today's bull pivot comes in at 602.70. So we know that number's important. We'll get back to that later. What about the flip side situation? Well, 597.65 is important and can be considered a bear pivot where the bulls run into trouble if below for more than just a peekaboo. Peekaboo is a technical term. And remember, above 602.70, Mrs. Market will begin working on the gap left open last week. That's what we just discussed. She's working on the gap left open last week. Now back to the chart. There's 602.70. You see it was initial overhead resistance, dipped down, and then got over it by the afternoon session. What was the other number? 597.65. And that, my friends, it's what's called a peekaboo below 597.65. That was low of day. We were buyers inside the numbers in the live room of that place. Guess what? Traders made money. Remember, pause the video, read the notes, go back to the chart, and double check the work. There's your 597.65 before the opening bell. Again, below 597.65 would open the door for a push lower toward 596, give or take. Remember, pause the video, read the notes, go back to the chart, and double check the work. It's all in here. I had to leave a little early today, but we got the morning trade under our belt right out of the chute. The work really doesn't occur at 9:30 when the market opens. The work occurs long before the open so that we're prepared when price comes into a number we're interested to either buy or sell short. Once you have the schematic for the morning session or for the remainder of the day, you have the schematic. Look at here. If she were to get above 602.70 on candle closes, the door would open for another leg higher toward what? 605.80. Well, let's go see what happened. We got a close but no cigar, but she was headed up there by the end of the day, just ran out of time. Remember what was said, head up toward 605.80. Pause them, read them, go back to the notes to double check the charts. We had two stocks on the board today, SYF and VIK. We'll take a look at SYF right now because it did hit its entry objective. And while we're here, don't forget about the table down below. We've got a dozen markets here from Bitcoin, the dollar, natural gas, silver, gold, crude oil, GDX, which is the gold miners, TLT, which is the bond market ETF, SMH, IWM, QQQ, and of course the spiders. Check the numbers on your chart. See what price did around these numbers. These are important numbers. This is good stuff. The number we're looking for in SYF is what? 65.55, 64.67. This creates a zone of support, and you see what happened once she got into the zone. Came down to the second number, bounced back to the first, back to the second, back up, and the rest is history. Nice rocket ride for the rest of the day. SYF, Synchrony Financial, the numbers work. Before we move on, I want to point one more thing out for NVIDIA. Now, this could be used for day trading or swing trading, or both, but I want to point out the high over here. So the high number is 153.13, and the way we use that is along with the magic calculator, along with everything else I teach. For the purposes of this discussion right now, we're just going to focus in on the 153.13, hit calculate, and you'll notice here this 118.26. Interesting, 118.26. Let's go see if that support number had any significance. Don't forget, the Lazy Swing Trader Automagical Algo was buying just a touch above that, and you could see here that that number just below is in fact what we call in the trading business a bullseye. 118.26. That's what it looks like as a standalone support line. 118.26 Automagical Algo system. Coupled with the magic calculator. Have you tried the magic calculator? I think you should toy around with it. It's kind of similar to having something like a Willy Wonka's golden ticket. Put that one in your pipe and smoke it. Anything materialized today in the small cap space, the IWM or Camp IWM as I like to call it? They're still eating time off the clock. It was a nothing burger day since they were up a quarter or 0.1%. No material change from yesterday, but what they are still doing is eating time off the clock in between these moving averages, building energy for another move higher as long as they stay what we call in the trading parlance as buoyant. Below the 20-period moving average and they begin to fall apart, quote unquote. No material change from yesterday. What about the folks down at the transportation department? Had a little bit of a down day, 154 points after a big up day yesterday. We'll call this a retracement, but look where they stayed above. They stayed above the 50-period moving average. They're above all the moving averages, and therefore, the trend is your friend until proven otherwise. Remember, we're focused on this breakdown candle high up at 16,704 and change by week's end. That's Friday's close. A lot of runway between now and Friday, but that's where we're focused on from a weekly chart perspective. Team transports. Nice bounce back in the Qs today. The Q people are back above all the moving averages. Is this just a garden variety retracement? Or is this something else going on? Is this just a bull tape? Well, let's keep in mind that we have a big time breakdown candle over here, and she never even ran a test of the high. She came in the vicinity of the high, collapsed back down, coming back up. We know that this place is uber important for sure. You flip it over to the weekly chart and you see pretty simply she's above all the moving averages. On the weekly chart, the trend is your friend. As long as she's above all moving averages on the weekly chart, the daily chart is what we call in the trading parlance noise. Up 1.5%, we'll call that a nice bounce back situation. XLF was flat-ish, down 9 cents. We're going to call that flat-ish. They're testing the former highs. The trend is your friend. There's nothing wrong with this tape. When you look at it from a weekly chart perspective, they're just challenging the former high made in November, December of 24, just a month ago. No change in the XLF for the financial complex. A little bit of a bounce back for Smashmouth or SMH, the Philadelphia Semiconductor Index, up $4.64, almost 2%, but that's after getting thrashed, taken out behind the woodshed, shot 3 times yesterday. Look at the weekly chart, fighting back to get back above 2 things. A, the 50-period moving average, the blue sloping trend line, and B, they're fighting to get back above this breakup candle low by the end of the week. Close the week below that low spells trouble. Close the week above that low, and she will have tested that low and some other stuff, but closing back above that low is not necessarily all-out bullish just yet, but certainly not as bearish as it can be. Below all the moving averages on a daily chart, from a daily chart perspective, of course, is not bullish, but in the bearish camp. SMH, Smashmouth. That's pretty much everything I wanted to discuss today in a synopsis overview format. Have I told you how much I appreciate each and every one of you? Without you, these videos I do each and every day, they would not be possible. We are going to pull the ripcord here today. I'm David Frost, my strategic forecast. Thanks again for tuning in to another episode of Common Sense Market Analysis.